Welcome to the deep dive, where we take your sources and really unpack the most profound nuggets of knowledge.
Great to be diving in again.
Yeah, me too. Today, we're embarking on a truly fascinating journey, prompted by your proposed theme, the final submission, the spiritual heart of the Qur'an.
A very rich topic.
Absolutely. And we'll certainly be delving into the Qur'an's message, divine unity, tawhid, mercy, guidance, all those core elements.
Yes, the fundamentals. But as you mentioned, the sources provided actually open up a much wider conversation.
Exactly. What's really compelling about the sources you shared is how they invite us to sort of broaden that lens.
Yes. We've got a collection.
Revealing these universal spiritual threads woven through just a remarkably rich tapestry of global traditions.
That's right. It's truly remarkable how the materials you've brought to us, while definitely illuminating the spiritual core of the Qur'an, also weave in insights from such a diverse collection of spiritual paths.
It's not just one stream, is it?
Not at all. We're looking at wisdom from the Upanishads and the Bhagavad Gita, the deep contemplative insights of Christian mysticism, Buddhist teachings, the quiet philosophy of Taoism, and even, modern spiritual philosophies.
Which really brings up a big question for us, right?
It does. What are these universal threads? What connects these varied paths in their search for, divine unity, for guidance, for personal transformation?
Yeah.
So our mission today is to distill those shared principles, explore their unique expressions across these traditions, and help you understand what's most important, what really stands out in this incredible collection.
Okay, so let's begin this deep dive together.
Let's do it.
The nature of ultimate reality and divine guidance.
So if we're looking for the spiritual heart, in almost any tradition, it pretty much always points to some ultimate singular reality, doesn't it? Something foundational.
That's a great starting point. It really is.
Let's start there. What do our sources tell us about this core concept, this divine unity that seems to resonate across so many different belief systems?
Well, it's one of the most striking commonalities we found, actually. Across all these diverse sources, there's this powerful, consistent consensus, a singular ultimate reality,
Right.
the source from which all existence flows. And this isn't merely like a creator figure in the simple sense, but something far more encompassing.
How so?
It's often described as self-illuminated, the very essence of being, the ground of all existence. It's the source from which everything arises and ultimately to which everything returns.
That's a truly powerful concept, that idea of a single ultimate source. And the Quranic glimpses in our sources, they give a really clear picture of this divine unity, this tawhid. They speak of God, for instance, as one who watches over every soul for what it earns and who fails not his appointed time.
So there's a sense of order and accountability.
Exactly. And the assurance that God is not unjust towards his creatures and is well acquainted with what you do. It paints this picture of a divine presence that is incredibly watchful, intimately knowledgeable, inherently just.
And meticulously ordering creation.
Right. And the imperative to obey God is consistently highlighted too. So it frames our relationship with this divine unity not just as belief, but as, active alignment.
It's not a distant force then.
No, it's presented as an ever-present, caring, and active reality. Very involved.
Absolutely. And then when we look at Hindu traditions, particularly the Bhagavad Gita and the Upanishads, we find a very similar understanding, just, with different terminology.
How did that show up there?
Well, the Bhagavad Gita profoundly states that Vanu and his abodes all have self-illuminated spiritual existence.
Self-illuminated again.
Yes, that concept keeps appearing. It identifies Krishna as the supreme personality of Godhead, the generating seed of all existences, from whom nothing can exist without.
The ultimate source.
The ultimate source. There's this idea that the Supreme has been accepted as the origin of all emanations. And this is expanded further with the assertion that Vasudeva is all-pervading and everything is Vasudeva.
Which really underscores that all-encompassing nature.
Precisely. An all-encompassing divine presence that permeates all of reality. And the Upanishads echo this with the concept of the oneness of Brahman as the singular origin and supreme reality of the world.
So another vision of a unified ultimate source.
Exactly. Both transcendent and immanent.
And it's not just the Abrahamic and Dharmic traditions either.
Yeah.
Our sources also bring in Taoism.
Yes, the subtle wisdom of the Tao Te Ching. It describes the great Tao as flowing everywhere.
Like a current.
Sort of, yes. The silent source of all things. It brings everything to completion and nourishes and protects all creatures. But, and this is key, it does not claim lordship over them.
Humble, despite its power.
Incredibly humble. It's described as most humble and the home to which all things return. So this isn't an anthropomorphic deity, but more like a universal principle, an underlying current of existence that's both powerful and sustaining, but without, exerting control in the way we might think of it.
A very different feel, but still pointing to that underlying unity.
A very subtle but equally profound statement of a universal underlying force, absolutely.
And Christian mysticism, how does it articulate this?
Well, texts like Theologia Germanica, they offer a beautifully direct articulation. It proclaims that God, who is the highest good, willeth not to hide himself from any devout soul.
Meaning God wants to be known.
Exactly. An eagerness for connection. It defines God as the being of all that are and the life of all that live, and states that all things have their being more truly in God than in themselves.
That suggests a deeper reality, that our true existence is sort of grounded in the divine.
Precisely. And Plotinus, in his Enneads, speaks of the pure intellect as the hearth of substance, where everything is together in one nature, emphasizing this immaterial, unified principle.
So across all these incredibly diverse sources.
Yes, we consistently see this core concept, a singular ultimate reality that is the source, the sustainer, and the very essence of all that is.
This universal idea suggests that maybe our deepest search for meaning is really fundamentally a quest to reconnect with the very fabric of existence itself. A reality that's both beyond us and intimately within us. That seems to be the message.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting for me. If this ultimate reality is so vast, so all-encompassing, how do we as humans even begin to access or understand it? I mean, how do you grasp something so immense?
That's the crucial next step, isn't it? How do we bridge that gap?
Our sources speak of divine guidance or revelation, providing a kind of roadmap for seekers, a way for us to connect with this profound unity. Almost like, I don't know, a built-in GPS for the spiritual journey.
That's a good way to put it. And what's truly fascinating here is how consistent the message of seeking and receiving guidance is, even if the method or the messenger varies across traditions.
So it's not just rules, it's more like a compass.
It suggests a deep inherent human need for a compass, yes, an internal or external guide to navigate our spiritual evolution. And for you, the listener, this offers a clear connection point. There's always a path, a teaching, or maybe an inner light guiding the way.
We're not just left adrift. Exactly. It's a testament to the idea that we're not left alone in our spiritual quest. There's help available.
And the Quran's message, as presented in our sources, it really emphasizes this direct guidance. There's that clear directive. Hold fast to what we have revealed to you. Remember what it contains. Perhaps you will grow pious.
A very strong call to engage with the revelation.
Yeah, it's foundational, not just reading it, but living by its wisdom, letting it transform you. And it clarifies the prophet's role too, stating, "It is not in my power to change it of my own accord. I merely follow what is revealed to me."
Underscoring the divine origin, the source of the message.
Right. People are urged to come to what God has revealed and to the messenger. And then Rumi's Masnavi, which is such an influential Sufi text, adds another layer, doesn't it?
It does. It notes the angel Gabriel as the one through whom the Prophet Muhammad received the revelation of the Quran, and refers to the light verse Qur'an 24.35 as a source of mystical commentary.
Suggesting deeper layers of meaning.
Exactly. Esoteric layers beyond the literal, accessible through contemplation. And the term forquin, or criterion, is mentioned too.
What does that signify?
Well, it's a powerful concept. It refers to the Qur'an itself as the standard for judgment, but it's also seen by mystics as potentially an inner light, a divine compass within the heart that helps discern truth from falsehood.
So guidance isn't just an external text. It could also be an internal experience clarifying our path.
That's a key mystical interpretation, yes.
And this idea of enlightenment, of inner guidance, it's crucial across other traditions too, right?
Absolutely. The Bhagavad Gita, for example, states that its wisdom is taught by the Lord to living entities who are bewildered by the influence of ignorance.
To clear the fog.
Precisely. For their enlightenment and to reestablish the eternal relationship between the worshiper and the worshipable. It's presented as a divine intervention, an act of compassion to help souls find their way back.
And Kenya's injunction is seen
as the essence of all Vedic wisdom. A direct, concentrated instruction for human beings to find their way back to that foundational relationship with the divine. It's about breaking through the confusion.
And Christian mysticism seems to echo this need for guidance, often pointing inwards.
Very much so. Theologia Germanica states that God would fain give man his help and counsel, indicating this divine desire to communicate with us, to guide us.
And St. John of the Cross, his dark night of the soul describes something quite intense.
Yes, he talks about a divine ray of contemplation that initially darkens the soul's natural faculties.
Darkens. That sounds, well, counterintuitive.
It does, doesn't it? But he presents it as a necessary step to then purge and illuminate with divine spiritual light. It's a paradox, a period of spiritual darkness as a profound path to a much greater, clearer light.
Wow. And St. Teresa of Avila.
In her interior castle, she speaks of faith instructing it in what it must do to find satisfaction, and God granting this favor as a gift from the hand of God, which leads to clearer spiritual realization.
So whether it's through explicit scripture, a prophet's words, or these deep inner contemplative experiences.
Yes, the pathway to knowledge and understanding of the divine is consistently emphasized. It's shown as both available and absolutely essential for our journey towards that ultimate reality.
The path of inner transformation and practice.
Okay, so we've established there's this ultimate reality and there's divine guidance available. But what's our part in it all? I mean, how do these different traditions instruct us to actually engage with this spiritual journey, to transform ourselves and find that profound connection? It can't just be about waiting passively, can it?
No, definitely not. And this raises that important question. What practices and internal shifts are consistently recommended across these different paths? How do we cultivate a deeper connection, regardless of the specific spiritual language being used?
What does the work actually look like?
Well, the sources show a remarkable consistency in emphasizing inner work and active participation. This isn't just about being told what to believe, it's about doing the work to become who you're meant to be spiritually.
Right, so let's start with cultivating awareness through practices like prayer and meditation. The Jesus Prayer, for instance, from the Way of a Pilgrim, that's a powerful example from Eastern Christian mysticism.
It really is a very focused practice.
It starts with continuously repeating the prayer, Lord Jesus Christ, Son of God, have mercy on me, initially just with my lips. But the real goal, the text says, is for it to eventually move into my heart.
From the head to the heart.
Exactly. Creating this profound sense of peace, warmth, and a deep love for Jesus Christ. The pilgrim's whole journey emphasizes constant prayer as the only means to achieving pure and true prayer and, ultimately, union with God.
So persistence is key.
Absolutely. It asserts that the name of Jesus Christ invoked in prayer contains self-existing and self-acting beneficent powers. And Hesychius, an early mystic mention, focused on attention, the heart's constant silence, and watchfulness.
Watchfulness.
Yeah, guarding the heart from predatory alien thoughts. It even includes practices like fixing your gaze exclusively on heaven. It's about a total internal reorientation, a constant inner vigilance.
That internal observation, that's such a common thread, isn't it?
Right.
It extends right into modern spiritual philosophies, too.
Like Ram Dass.
Exactly. In Be Here Now, Ram Dass suggests a meditation practice where you just let your mind wander and just watch it. Just note how your mind works. Don't think about the thoughts, just note them.
Creating distance from the chatter.
Precisely. It's a foundational step to disidentifying with that constant mental noise, creating a gap between the observer and the thought. And Eckhart Tolle, in The Power of Now, advocates for staying alert and present.
The power of now.
Yes, withdrawing attention from past and future, observing the mind's tendency to escape the now, and cultivating awareness of your deeper self. It's about anchoring yourself in the present moment.
And Sam Harris.
In Waking Up, Sam Harris confirms that meditation can open the mind to a similar range of conscious states, and it leads to settling ever more fully into one's own skin and suffering less there.
So the goal across these very different approaches seems to be inner quiet, presence, and a sense of calm abiding.
That's a great summary of it.
Then there's focused devotion. This feels a bit different, maybe less about observing and more about directing our inner energy.
Yes, a more active focusing of love or attention.
The Cloud of Unknowing, another classic from Christian mysticism, instructs us to lift up thine heart unto God with a meek stirring of love, and mean himself and none of his goods.
Focusing purely on the divine essence, not the benefit.
Right. Striving to forget all the creatures that ever God made. It's not about asking for things. It's about directing pure, unadulterated, exclusive love towards the divine, letting go of everything else.
A very radical focus.
It describes this profound work of the soul as that which most pleaseth God, and even claims it aids souls in purgatory, and the Philokalia, that collection of texts on prayer.
Mhm. It emphasizes the dedicated effort required to keep one's vision intently fixed on divine things.
Sustained effort.
Yes, and that spiritual reading and contemplation detach the intellect from form and matter, leading ultimately to undistracted prayer. It's about sustained, singular focus, stripping away distractions to commune directly with the divine.
And we also see this really profound idea of thought control emerging as a form of prayer or spiritual practice itself.
It's a fascinating concept found in some sources. Conversations with God, for example, posits that thought control is the highest form of prayer.
Highest form. How so?
Well, the idea presented is that intentions and thoughts instantaneously create reality in the spirit realm, leading to tranquility, peace, joy. It suggests our internal mental landscape has immediate and powerful spiritual consequences.
So our thoughts aren't just fleeting things, they're creative forces.
That's the premise. And the untethered soul connects this to inner freedom. It suggests that by letting go of yourself and relaxing instead of closing when faced with discomfort.
Which is our usual reaction, right? To close up.
Exactly. But by relaxing into it, you become comfortable with pain passing through you and can access an ocean of love that lies beyond that resistance.
Wow. It's a radical call to manage our inner world, not by suppressing, but by opening and releasing.
Yes, to transform our spiritual experience and tap into a deeper wellspring of love.
So, beyond just awareness and focused devotion, many traditions call for more active devotion, detachment from worldly things, and um, rigorous self-purification.
Yes, moving beyond the mind into action and transformation of character.
The Qur'an, for example, while perhaps not detailing meditation techniques in exactly the same way as some other sources, constantly emphasizes
Remembrance of God.
right. And this remembrance isn't just a mental exercise, is it? It's presented as a continuous state of awareness that should permeate all actions.
Guiding one towards righteous deeds and away from heedlessness or ghafla.
It's a deep inner transformation that affects everything you do.
And the Bhagavad Gita's path of devotion, Bhakti Yoga, is a prime example of this active, all-encompassing spiritual engagement.
How does that manifest?
It emphasizes firm faith in Krishna's injunctions to be liberated from fruitive actions. That means actions done solely for their results, for personal gain.
Detaching from the outcome.
Yes, it guides the devotee to fix their minds on my personal form and are always engaged in worshiping me with great and transcendental faith for the most perfect yoga.
It sounds like a full-time commitment.
It is described that way. Constant engagement chanting, reading, cooking, even washing. If done for Krishna, it's all considered full samadhi.
A state of profound meditative absorption.
And spiritual oneness, where every action becomes an offering. Crucially, God accepts only the love with which things are offered to him. And this devotional service is eternally existing. It continues even after liberation. It's about consecrating every single aspect of life.
That's incredibly comprehensive. Then, from the Buddhist tradition, the Dhammapada offers a complementary ethical wisdom focused on detachment and purification.
Yes, the ethical dimension is very strong there.
It outlines the Eightfold Path and 4 statements of truth as the best way to achieve purity of vision and overcome illusion.
Provides a clear framework.
And it defines a true brahmana, a person of purity and wisdom, not by external things like rituals or learning, but by truth and dhamma, righteous conduct.
What else characterizes this ideal person?
By renouncing craving, being released from all bonds, overcoming the entire world, ultimately by the extinction of intoxicants.
Meaning defilements like greed, hatred, and ignorance.
Exactly. It's a path of rigorous self-mastery, ethical conduct, and profound inner freedom. Very demanding.
Then we have that intense process of self-purification we touched on earlier, perhaps best exemplified by St. John of the Cross's dark night of the soul.
Right, the passive purgation.
Yes. It's described as a deeply painful but ultimately purifying experience where God works directly on the soul, cleansing it of imperfections like wrath, gluttony, envy, sloth. He calls it a dark fire.
A dark fire, that's evocative.
It is. The process calms the 4 passions of the soul, lulls natural desires to sleep, and annihilates the soul's natural light and affections.
To make space.
Precisely, so that divine light and illumination will then take its place, igniting yearnings of love. It's a deep, often uncomfortable restructuring of the inner self, burning away what isn't essential to make way for that divine connection.
Saint Teresa of Avila's interior castle provides a similar but maybe more grounded perspective on inner resolve.
Yes, she emphasizes the constant effort required. She stresses the critical importance of continuous prayer and subduing her own will, warning the abandoning prayer can lead straight to spiritual decline.
Use it or lose it, essentially.
In a way, yes, this constant companionship with God cultivates a most tender love, deep yearnings to give oneself wholly up to his service, and great purity of conscience. It highlights the practical, ongoing commitment and discipline needed for a genuine spiritual growth.
So transformation isn't a one-time event, it's a continuous process of alignment.
That's the clear message. And Theologia Germanica on self-renunciation is equally direct, maybe even more stark.
How does it put it?
It explains that in what measure we put off the creature, in the same measure are we able to put on the Creator.
A direct correlation. Let go of the lower to receive the higher.
It's a fundamental principle presented there. By letting go of our attachments to the material world and, crucially, our ego, we create space for the divine. It highlights the life of Christ as noblest and best, but also bitter to nature and selfishness, contrasting it with a careless life of false freedom.
False freedom.
Meaning a freedom that ignores our own flaws and responsibilities. The text emphatically states that all self-will must depart to truly receive God's help. It's a profound call to shed the ego, to renounce our own limited will in favor of a higher divine will.
And finally, we have Siddhartha's journey, as chronicled by Homan Hess. That's more of a narrative, right?
Yes, an experiential journey. His life of seeking is a powerful narrative of self-discovery. He moves from extreme asceticism as a samana through periods of intense material indulgence.
Trying both extremes.
Exactly. And ultimately finds a kind of peace in a contemplative riverside existence. This journey illustrates finding a deeper, more harmonized inner voice.
What's that voice like?
Well, the text says that while it still contains suffering, searching, it's now joined by voices of joy and of suffering. It's a powerful narrative of self-discovery and integration through diverse experiences.
So it doesn't end struggle, but finds harmony within it.
Precisely. It culminates not in an absence of struggle, but in an inner harmony that incorporates all of life's experiences. It shows that the path isn't always straight or narrow, but the destination is inner peace and integration.
Navigating the human condition, challenges and opportunities for growth.
This journey, well, it sounds incredibly challenging when you lay it all out like that. Our sources are very honest about the struggles, aren't they? The dark nights, the illusions we face constantly.
They really are. This isn't just about lofty spiritual ideals. It's about grappling with the very real, often messy, human condition.
So what common obstacles do they highlight? And maybe more importantly, what wisdom do they offer for overcoming them?
Yep.
Because it's clearly not all blissful ascensions and moments of enlightenment.
No, far from it. And this is where critical thinking really comes into play for you, the listener. Understanding the nature of these challenges from these various perspectives can offer profound aha moments.
How so?
It shows that these struggles are not isolated experiences unique to one tradition or one person. Human beings, it turns out, grapple with very similar internal battles, regardless of their specific spiritual background or beliefs. It highlights a kind of universal spiritual psychology.
That's interesting. A core idea that seems to emerge across many sources is the mind itself being the ultimate source of our suffering.
Yes, that comes through very strongly. A Course in Miracles, for instance, clearly states that the cause of suffering is in your mind.
Putting the responsibility squarely on us.
It does. It presents a fundamental choice between a sleeping death, described as being filled with dreams of evil and distress, and a happy awakening, the joy of life, which leads ultimately to the peace of God. It puts the onus of transformation squarely on our internal landscape.
Suggesting our perception and thoughts are the real battleground.
That's the core message there. And from the Hindi perspective, particularly the Bhagavad Gita, it identifies ignorance and the illusory material energy, or Maya, as these powerful forces that bewilder us.
Bewilder. That was a good word for it.
Maya isn't just a simple illusion, like a mirage. It's presented as an active, powerful divine energy that makes us believe we are separate from the divine, trapping us in a cycle of material desires and attachments.
And affects everyone.
The text notes that even learned fellows, great philosophers, poets, literati, scientists, can be nullified by the influence of illusory material energy.
Wow, even the smartest among us.
Yes, leading them to disobey the Supreme Lord and remain under the spell of illusion, essentially serving Maya rather than the divine. This suggests that intellect alone isn't enough to escape this powerful, divinely created illusion.
The Quranic warnings on human frailty are particularly stark in the excerpts we have. They recount various human failings that really obstruct the spiritual path.
Yes, there's a strong emphasis on human fallibility.
Things like instances where people relapse from their commitment or transgress the Sabbath, even blasphemed. There are warnings against miserly behavior and, shockingly, even the killing of the prophets unjustly.
Serious transgressions.
Very. It points out that unbelievers fabricate lies in God's name and often just follow their ancestors blindly instead of seeking truth for themselves. The text explicitly warns that the present life is mere play and frivolity.
A distraction from what truly matters.
Right. And it emphasizes that God loves not the evildoers. This underscores the constant human struggle against sin, against heedlessness, against the ego, and the allure of worldly distractions, all of which pull us away from our divine connection.
And this sense of human frailty, it extends into what we might call existential angst, too. Viktor Frankl's man's search for meaning.
Drawn from his experiences in concentration camps, just unimaginable suffering.
Exactly. He highlights the devastating effects of losing hope and losing the spirit of life and the profound loss of feeling as a person in the face of that extreme suffering.
Yet he finds meaning even there.
That's the crucial point. He stresses that even in such dire circumstances, individuals must continuously decide what will be the monument of his life. It's a powerful testament to our inherent freedom of choice, our ability to find meaning and purpose even when all external freedom is stripped away. It's about finding that inner anchor.
Siddhartha's journey also depicts a kind of inner suffering, doesn't it? A disease of the soul.
Yes, and interestingly, it's linked to periods of material wealth and pleasure, showing that external success doesn't automatically equate to internal fulfillment.
The opposite, maybe.
Sometimes. Hess's narrative shows how this can lead to inner tiredness, disappointment and disgust, and the silencing of one's inner voice. Siddhartha reaches a point of feeling worthless and empty.
A powerful reflection on the futility of just chasing external things without inner spiritual grounding.
Exactly. It's a reminder that true richness comes from within, not from what we accumulate on the outside.
Then there's this concept of spiritual warfare, which appears in different forms, both external forces and internal battles.
Yes. The Screwtape Letters, for example, offers this allegorical look at demonic strategies.
From the demon's perspective.
Right. Strategies to inflict anguish and bewilderment and to undermine faith and preventing the formation of virtues. It describes things like the law of undulation, those natural ups and downs in spiritual feeling, and temptations towards despair or complacency, all as deliberate tactics to derail spiritual progress.
And St. John of the Cross, again with the Dark Night.
He details the profound spiritual darkness and the horrible and most painful suffering felt during that purgation process we mentioned. This is presented as a profound spiritual trial, addressing those imperfections like wrath, gluttony, envy, and sloth, not just as psychological quirks, but as deep-seated spiritual impurities that need cleansing.
These sound like universal experiences of inner struggle, often feeling like a real battle for the soul.
That's certainly how they're described.
And on a more, maybe psychological level, the untethered soul explores the psyche's defense mechanisms, how we actually contribute to our own suffering.
Yes, it looks at that instinctive human tendency to withdraw or close from disturbing experiences. Yeah. We build up this psychological structure around stored pain.
Walling it off.
Exactly. But this closing isn't just a reaction. It leads to being psychologically sensitive and fearful, which then perpetuates the illusion and the suffering. It's an important insight into how we actively contribute to our own inner obstacles by resisting discomfort instead of letting it pass through.
Okay, so those are the obstacles. But the sources don't just leave us there, do they? They offer strategies for overcoming them, for cultivating growth. This is where the opportunities for real transformation lie.
Absolutely. It's not just about identifying the problems, it's about the solutions offered. The Four Agreements, for instance, addresses that pervasive issue of self-rejection.
Feeling like we're not good enough.
Right. Stemming from not feeling perfect, which results in feeling false, frustrated, and dishonest, and wearing these social masks.
What's the antidote it proposes?
It emphasizes being impeccable with your word, using truth and love in our speech to clean all the emotional poison. And it also highlights the importance of not making assumptions and, crucially, not taking anything personally.
Easier said than done.
Definitely. But the book presents these as practical, immediate steps towards inner freedom, liberating oneself from self-imposed suffering and the weight of others' opinions. Powerful tools for self-acceptance.
And Theologia Germanica offers a more, maybe, radical path through renouncing self-will entirely.
It's very direct. It states unequivocally that nothing burneth in hell but self-will.
Wow, that's blunt.
It is. Therefore, to avoid suffering, one must put off thine own will. This isn't about becoming passive or a doormat, but about surrendering the ego's limited desires in favor of a higher purpose, the divine will.
So true freedom comes from alignment, not indulgence.
That's the argument. It clarifies that man's highest good is not self-seeking, but to seek only the praise and glory of God and his holy will. It's critical of that false freedom, which ignores the reality of sin, arguing true freedom comes from aligning with the divine. It's a profound call to surrender the ego and find liberation in that surrender.
The untethered soul seems to offer a counterintuitive approach to dealing with discomfort. Instead of closing off, embrace it, open to it.
Exactly. It encourages an active release of inner tension. When confronted with discomfort, it suggests consciously relaxing your shoulders and relaxing the area around your heart.
Physically relaxing into the feeling.
Yes, and being willing to face this pain instead of retreating into our usual defenses. The ultimate goal is to become comfortable with pain passing through you.
Comfortable with pain, that sounds impossible.
Well, the idea is that through that acceptance, you achieve true freedom and can experience an ocean of love that lies beyond fear. It shifts our relationship with discomfort from avoidance to acceptance, leading to genuine inner spaciousness and freedom.
The Varieties of Religious Experience by William James talks about the divided self, doesn't it? And religious melancholy?
Yes, but interestingly, he describes this struggle not as a flaw, but as a necessary process of order-making and struggle that ultimately leads to unity.
Like growing pains for the soul.
That's a good analogy. He cites St. Augustine's powerful conversion story and Tolstoy's intense journey of getting his soul in order as examples. These aren't just ancient tales, they're timeless examples of profound inner restructuring.
Finding genuine vocation, escaping falsehoods into truth.
Exactly, leading to personal integration and peace. It shows that even deep internal conflict can be a catalyst for significant growth and finding wholeness.
And Conversations with God offers a very expansive view on consciously creating our reality, even beyond suffering and death.
It really does. It explains that death is not an end you don't ever die, but a transition.
What happens after, according to this source?
Well, it suggests that in the afterlife, if one dislikes an experience, they will choose to create a new and more pleasant reality simply by stopping your negative thoughts.
So thought control continues to be key.
Absolutely. And this principle, the book argues, also applies to creating hell in your life on Earth. It introduces conscious creation out of choice, or alternatively, reuniting with the collective consciousness of all that is, which sounds like concepts like nirvana and other traditions as higher paths.
It certainly offers a very empowering perspective on our ability to shape our experience, both here and potentially hereafter, through the power of our intention and thought.
It's a radical view on personal responsibility and creative power.
The outward expression, love, justice, and community.
Okay, so we've journeyed through the nature of the divine, the individual path of transformation, and the struggles we face internally. But what happens when this spiritual awakening starts to extend beyond the self? How do these profound internal changes actually manifest in our interactions with others and the world around us?
That's a crucial question.
Yeah.
Because if it's truly a deep dive, as you say, it can't just remain an internal navel-gazing practice, right? It has to impact how we live.
It has to make a difference outwardly.
Absolutely. And if we connect all this to the bigger picture, we see a clear call to action and responsibility emerging from these sources. A call that transcends individual paths and profoundly shapes how we live together in community.
So true spiritual growth always has this outward relational component.
It seems inseparable. It's about how that inner light, once ignited, illuminates the world around us, how it changes our relationships and our engagement with society.
A central theme that really emerges here is this idea of unreserved love, compassion, and how that transforms the quality of our relationships. Bonhoeffer's teachings and the cost of discipleship are incredibly powerful on this point.
Yes, very challenging teachings.
He emphasizes that for Christians, there is no room for expediency, no cutting corners morally. The hallmark of the Christian, he says, is the extraordinary.
What does he mean by extraordinary?
An unreserved love for our enemies. Actively requiting hostility with love, seeking out those who are most in need of it, even those who seem least deserving.
That's radical stuff.
It really is.
Yeah.
This love, he argues, is fulfilled in the cross of Christ, and he presents it as the differential of the Christian religion. What truly sets it apart and fundamentally challenges conventional human interaction It's a transformative power.
Building on that idea of transformative relationships, the Seed of the Soul introduces this concept of spiritual partnership.
What does that entail?
It's described as a bond between equals for the purpose of spiritual growth. So the relationship itself becomes a vehicle for evolution. Individuals consciously set aside the wants of their personalities in order to accommodate the needs of their partner's spiritual growth.
Wow, that requires a lot of selflessness.
It does. And it goes beyond just the couple. The book posits that individuals aligned with their souls, living in these kinds of partnerships, can help bring sexes, races, nations, and neighbors into harmony.
Connecting personal growth to global harmony.
Exactly. Because, it argues, each of us is ultimately responsible for the whole world, constantly navigating choices between fear and doubt on one side and love and trust on the other. It takes love and expands it into a global responsibility.
And the idea of the impeccable word from the Four Agreements seems to directly link our inner state to our outward interactions, too.
Yes, it makes that connection very explicit. It states that if I love myself, I will express that love in my interactions with you, creating a like reaction through using an impeccable word.
So our internal integrity, our self-love, directly shapes our external communications.
Making our words powerful tools for either connection or division. And the power of now complements this beautifully by identifying complete acceptance of your partner as he or she is, without needing to judge or change them in any way, as the greatest catalyst for change in a relationship.
Just complete acceptance. That sounds like the key.
It's presented that way. An approach that moves beyond the ego's need to control or fix, ends codependency, and makes room for love, for joy, for peace to naturally emerge. It's about unconditional acceptance, fostering profound connection, and allowing true intimacy to flourish.
And this outward expression isn't just about personal relationships, is it? It strongly manifests in calls for justice, for humility, and for societal transformation.
Absolutely. The ethical and social dimensions are critical.
The Quranic excerpts we looked at really underscore the importance of righteous deeds and warn strongly against miserly behavior, which is seen as a major obstacle to communal well-being.
Undermining social cohesion.
Right. It emphasizes accountability, assuring believers that if you believe and are pious, he shall pay your wages in full, and that God is on your side and will not diminish the reward of your deeds. There's a sense of divine justice ensuring fairness.
And a call for discernment.
Yes, it asserts the distinction that the impure is not like the pure, urging discernment in all matters. And it challenges that blind following of ancestral ways we mentioned earlier, encouraging people to come to what God has revealed into the messenger for true guidance, rather than just tradition for tradition's sake.
So it's a clear call for ethical action, for social justice, and for active participation in creating a just society. It's presented as a core spiritual duty.
It's not enough just to be pious individually. That piety has to manifest in how we treat the world and structure our communities.
That seems to be the message, and Theologia Germanica highlights this intrinsic connection between our moral compass and the divine nature within us. It notes that the free will, when it's aligned with its true, uncorrupted nature, naturally chooseth what is noblest and best, and is profoundly pained by evil, injustice, iniquity, and in short, all manner of wickedness and sin.
So a spiritually attuned heart feels injustice deeply.
Yes. Christ's human nature, the text describes, felt the deepest grief, pain, and indignation at sin. This suggests that a true spiritual awakening isn't about escaping the world's problems, but about engaging with its suffering with profound empathy and a strong will to rectify wrongs.
And in conversations with God, we see quite a specific vision for how society could be structured differently, based on spiritual principles.
Yes, it talks about enlightened societies that practice putting aside of a set amount of what one receives, for the general good of the society itself, often contributing this to a world charitable trust.
A sort of systemic generosity.
A reimagining of economic and social structures, rooted in a collective sense of responsibility and abundance, rather than scarcity and competition. It also controversially suggests that elders, those who have accumulated greater truth and wisdom, should ideally be responsible for raising children.
Why?
To break the cycles of inherited sins of the father, the negative patterns passed down through generations. It's certainly a bold, thought-provoking idea for societal transformation rooted in spiritual wisdom.
It highlights how deep spiritual insights could radically alter our social contracts, potentially.
That's the implication. And finally, William James, in The Varieties of Religious Experience, he concludes that the general function of the saint's charity and social evolution is vital and essential.
the saint as a social catalyst.
Exactly. He argues that non-resistance, when successful, turns enemies into friends, and charity regenerates its objects, making saints this effective ferment of goodness, a slow transmuter of the earthly into a more heavenly order.
So individual spiritual transformation, especially expressed through acts of unconditional love and kindness, can have this profound, long-term ripple effect on the collective.
Yes, acting as a catalyst for societal improvement through love and compassionate action. It's about changing the world one transformed heart at a time.
Okay, wow. What a journey we've taken. From that unifying concept of a divine presence echoing across such diverse traditions, through these deeply personal paths of prayer, meditation, self-purification, all the way to confronting our inner demons and extending radical love and justice out into the world.
It's quite a tapestry.
It really is.
Uh,
The sheer diversity and yet the commonality in these sources, it's truly astounding. It shows that while the language and the cultural expressions may differ wildly, the core human yearning and the pathways to profound connection seem to share so much.
It's incredible, isn't it?
Yeah.
When you look at these myriad expressions of the spiritual heart, whether it's illuminated by the Qur'an's powerful call for divine unity and righteousness, or the Upanishad's vision of Brahman, the Tao's silent, flowing way, or the Christian mystic's intense inner light, what truly stands out?
Yes.
It's not just the shared destination, this ultimate reality we talked about. It's the intensely personal, yet somehow universally accessible nature of the journey itself. The call to awaken, to align, and to transform resonates across all these traditions. It really does point to a common human spiritual architecture, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And that leads us perfectly into our final provocative thought for you, our listener, to mull over. If these diverse traditions, spanning millennia and vastly different cultures, all point towards a similar kind of inner work.
This process of self-renunciation, cultivating awareness, extending love, striving for justice.
Right. If they all converge on these themes, what does that tell us about the fundamental architecture of the human spirit itself? What does it say about our inherent capacity for divine connection? Regardless of the specific language we use or the particular path chosen, what aspect of this exploration will you carry forward into your own understanding and practice?
It's a deep question to sit with. Remember, the invitation across all these sources seems always to be towards a deeper awareness. Towards, as one of our sources so we put it, the real cycle you're working on yourself.
Until next time, keep diving deep.